When I was more than 70 pounds overweight, my doctor told me that I need to cut out the junk food before I became diabetic. That was scary. And I took her seriously because she was just so blunt about it. And I went back home and I cut out cookies, cake, ice cream. Most of the junk food was removed from my life. I still ate a little bit of chocolate because, you gotta have a little fun, right? But I totally changed the amount of junk food that I was eating. And I can tell you that my weight did not change. But as you can see, I did lose the weight. So what changed? I learned a little something about sugar. So many people in my family have diabetes that when she told me that I was on the path of diabetes, that really hit me because that wasn't what I wanted, especially having a small child. I was devastated to learn that piece of information. Now, she linked eating junk to my diabetic path, and that got me thinking about my family always talking about their sugar being high. I knew that sugary foods had an impact on diabetes. I thought when she said take the junk out, I would take the junk out and that would solve the problem. The failure came from the fact that I didn't actually know what sugar looked like in food. You know how when you're in school, you learn a bunch of stuff and it's shocking to you when you first learn it, but then you just kind of know it and you stop thinking about it and it just becomes this kind of background noise, like when you learn that dogs and wolves are both canines. But if I saw a wolf on the road, I wouldn't go and pet it because I know it's not your typical dog, but I do know it's a canine. So I can make that link. When I was in school, I learned that glucose, fructose, galactose, basically all the oses were sugars, and that sugars are carbohydrates. Now that's really important here because when I was trying to take the junk food out of my life and I was looking at the sugar and where the sugar was coming from, I didn't open that up to all carbohydrates. Somehow those two pieces of information stayed separate in my mind. I was focused on cookies and ice cream and cake and completely ignoring the bread that I was making my sandwiches with, the cereal that I was having in the morning, and the rice, potatoes, and pasta that was on my plate at supper time. And because of that, you can imagine that my weight remained not only stable, but it continued to rise. Wellness warrior, if you don't know that sugar and carbohydrates are two words for the same thing, then you're not going to understand why taking the sugar out of your diet didn't work, because you would not have actually, like I did, taken all the sugar out. I didn't remove all the sugar. There was still a lot of sugar in my diet. And the result of that was that I felt really bad. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was not doing what I was supposed to do for my health. And what happens when we feel bad? We have more tendency to self-soothe. So the one thing that I was still allowing in my life was chocolate, which was supposed to be at a reasonable amount. But then if I didn't feel good, I might eat more chocolate. And so you could see where the chocolate didn't help, but it wasn't the major problem, because the major player was the meals I was having at the end of the day. The major players was the lunches that I was having. The major players was the breakfast that I was having. I kept thinking that I was choosing healthy foods because I was going for the whole grain variety. I was buying the name brands to make sure that I got the best possible quality food. And can I just point out that when I was buying those higher quality breads with those beautiful grains in them, they tasted horrible. I hated them. I was eating them because I needed to eat lunch. I need to make a sandwich or something. I need to have some bread to go along with my eggs or whatever. But it tasted horrible. And it was still giving me 40 some odd grams of carbs, and I didn't know. And the worst part was that my health was actually suffering. All this energy and effort that I was putting in to eat the best quality food that I could that was still high in sugar because I didn't know, forcing myself to eat fruit, and all the things that I was doing was actually causing the hormone that controls sugar and pushes you towards diabetes to rise. My insulin was rising every time I had one of these meals, these healthy meals with healthy grains and healthy cereals and healthy rice, because I had to buy the brown rice and the basmati rice and all the the better quality, higher priced rice that still was giving me too much sugar. See, the problem was that for my body, 18 grams of carbs was my max per day. And I was still eating about 350 grams of carbs per day from normal food, not counting the chocolate that I was still allowing once in a while. It was too much. Can you see the problem that I was living? Because I was eating about 350 grams of carbs every day, my body was taking a real beating. My insulin levels were out of control. My health was I was inflamed all the time. Joints hurt all the time. My weight was rising, as the doctor was pointing out. My back was killing me all the time. I was tired all the time. Usually needed a nap in the middle of the afternoon. Not to mention the fact that I totally changed what I was eating. So I wasn't even liking what I was eating a lot of the time. And I still had 70 plus extra pounds on my body. Honestly, I sounded like an old lady every time I got out of a chair. It was that bad, and I was in that much pain. Most of us are just not aware that we're overloading our body with sugar because we don't read the labels and because we don't understand that sugar, added sugar, and carbohydrates are all the same thing. They're just different words for different versions of the same stuff. The 38 to 46 grams of carb in the bread that you choose for your sandwich at lunch doesn't register as a problem. But it is. Getting my health and weight under control meant that I needed to better understand my diet. If you want to better understand your diet and make a healthy change, this video explains low carb and what it can do for you. Click on the link. I'll meet you over there.